time of year again. Happy New Year. I am Brian. We're doing video. That's right, it's the top whatever year it is. I feel like I'm one of the only people that actually still do this, and I don't even know why. Yes, we're gonna be taking a look at 21 figures that are my top of those figures of the year, which is 2021. So this isn't necessarily figures that came out in 2021, these are just figures that I purchased in 2021. Although I will admit, most of these figures I think came out either last year or this year. Now before we dive into that, I have something a little special for you guys. I'm also gonna throw in my top other things of 2021. So number one Lego set, it is the Ford GT and Bronco R. Mostly for the Bronco R, but I mean, I really like this thing. Number one Mega Construx Halo set has got to be the Razorback. Mostly because I was the first one to review it. This is a weird one, but number one Hot Wheels is the Koenigsegg Jesko. Mostly because I also have the Speed Champions for it. And also most stankiest Transformer of the year, Rhinox. Mostly because it feels lazy. Not because it's simple, but because it feels playtesting just got rushed and you have to warp a bunch of things with the legs. I've heard so many people break them. The weapons are lame. Yeah, he's just not that good of a toy. I'm okay with owning him, but I'm not happy with how he turned out. Honorable mentions! I wasn't gonna do this because 21 is already a big list, but I felt kind of sad that some of these figures did not get in, so quick mentions for these. Thank you to Larry Arts Productions for sending me this Revenge of the Fallen Swerve. I've wanted this mold for a while, and I think it looks good in red. Kingdom Core Class Soundwave is the best Core Class figure that came out this year. I think it's the perfect size for a Soundwave because, you know, it's a tape cassette player. But yeah, just didn't make it to the list. Deep Cover is my favorite repaint of the mold, but I think because that mold has been repainted so many times, it just didn't get in. And some people are going to be upset with me on this, but Studio Series Slug. The only reason is quality issues with my copy. The joint up here warped, so this little thing right here is loose, and I feel like it might snap off. And then the ratchet joint for the knee broke inside of itself. I was able to kind of semi-fix it, but yeah, because of quality issues, yeah, he just didn't get in. Alright, now we can start! Kickstarting the list is Dark of the Moon, Leadfoot. The main reason why is because I've wanted this figure for a while, and also it was a running joke between me and Larry Arts Productions, who finally decided to send me one, and apparently he got it for a very good price. It is an unreleased toy. It's something that I've wanted for such a long time, ever since it's been released. It's not really the best figure up to today's standards, but because of its history, it made it to the list. I know, Kingdom Cyclonus, shouldn't he be at the top 5? The only reason why he's not is because I'm not a fan of the knees. They just feel a little too tight, so it's a little concerning. But, I mean, I'm not going to deny, he is a gorgeous looking figure. I think he is the best Cyclonus has ever looked. Funny how controversial Cliffjumper was, considering that people seem to really like Bumblebee, and there's no denying I could totally see why. I was very hesitant on a War for Cybertron style Bumblebee, mostly in Siege. I know that he's one of the first Cybertronian figures to actually show up in the series, but the reason why is because there was already so many Bumblebees in the main line, or just in general, that I just felt like, hey, how about we take a break from Bumblebees? And now we got this, and yeah, I really like it. I love the Volkswagen Beetle. I think the coloring is nice. The weapons are okay, but yeah, the Bumblebee, the core figure itself, I think that this is one of the best Bumblebees. Of course I had to put in the Warpath. He's my favorite Autobot, and I think that this is one of the best he's ever looked. I mean, he looks like he jumped out of the cartoon, has some nice detailing to him. I think the tank mode is gorgeous. Yeah, he does have this panel that is parts forming, but I think it looks good in the robot mode, and you don't necessarily need it for the alt mode except to hold things together. I think overall, yeah, I love him. Since it's on my mind, thank you to 01 Transfan for sending me the Bumblebee. I almost completely forgot about that. And also, thank you to TransAaron38 for these two. It is the Shattered Glass Optimus Prime and Ratchet 2-pack. I have never owned anything Shattered Glass related before, and I had to get this, especially the Optimus Prime with the purple. I'd say more so for the Optimus Prime, but the Ratchet, I love the cyan that goes along with it. And yeah, just evil versions of Optimus Prime and Ratchet running around. I think that I really like Shattered Glass, and I really like owning something related to Shattered Glass. I did not get this during the Earthrise line, but I'm very happy to get it in the Kingdom. It is the Optimus Prime. So, obviously no surprise if I put on the Shattered Glass Optimus Prime, I gotta put on the regular one. And yeah, he just is essentially the Optimus Prime for me at this point. I mean, I still love the Siege version, and there's multiple other Optimus Primes that I like, but I think as far as going back to a Generation 1 style Optimus Prime for my mainline collection, this is going to be the one that secures it for the longest time. I don't like these things, but I mean, it made it to the list, so it must be doing something right. Black Arachnia. I don't like spiders. But man, do I really like Black Arachnia. I think she's one of my favorite characters in Beast Wars in general. She was my first Kingdom figure, and the only reason why she's not higher on the list is because of some concerns with the quality, but otherwise, mine seems to be pretty okay for the most part, and I like the coloring of it. I think the black and this gold, mustardy yellow does look nice, and I think the sculpt works pretty well. I mean, to get that design and translate it into a toy, I think they did a fairly good job. When I got the Beast Wars reissues toys, I thought the other one would make the list, but no, it's this one. You saved me. Why? Monkey. It is the Beast Wars reissue Optimus Primal. And it's just the toy itself. It's not necessarily the character, but the toy is chunky, it's hefty, it's got some good joints, and it's got so many gimmicks. Someone said recently that Optimus Primal has so many gimmicks that you could create a whole wave of figures just based on the gimmicks alone on here. And there's no argument to that. He's got so much going on, and he just looks so good. I'm very happy with this toy. I think everyone should get it. I know it's a little expensive, but I think he's well worth it. So I was not anticipating this figure because I heard from an early rumor before the images came out that this figure was not going to be that good. And when the images came out, I thought, it looks alright, but it's not going to be that great. And man, she turned out to be one of my favorites in the Kingdom lineup. This is Airazor. Wow, I'm just wildly impressed by this. I like the bird mode for the most part. Yeah, she's got a bunch of underkibble, but I mean, it's a bird transformer. Look at all the plane transformers. They hardly get it right anyway, so I wasn't expecting much on that. But as far as the robot mode is concerned, I have no complaints whatsoever. I was a little worried about the hinge in the legs because it's got this weird thing. I thought, oh, she's just going to fall over constantly. No, she does not. I like the weapons. I like the head sculpt. I like mostly everything about her. I even like the wings and how they articulate. It's just such a nice looking figure. I don't really have too many things wrong with it except for the chest transformation. It's got some weird hinges that I feel it's kind of weird, but otherwise I love this thing. This is technically two figures, but I definitely don't think it's cheating. It's Scourge and the Swede, because essentially they are the same figure. I will say that there's some quality issues compared to this that makes Scourge a little bit better. It's not the worst thing, it's just noticeable, but I do like the coloring of this a little bit more, so I'm just going to tie it between them. And again, they're essentially the same thing, but I love the silhouette of Scourge. I think that this perfectly captures the character. I love the blast effect too, even though this one's warped. I just think that they're really good, and thank you to Max Ross Linden for sending this, and Transformers Talk Raw for sending this. I can no longer say I don't have this character in my collection, either in this room or the other one. This is Kingdom Waspinator. And yes, it might surprise some people that I have never owned a Waspinator before. The Thrilling 30, the Creo even, or the original Beast Wars Waspinator. Never owned them. This is the first time, and I'm very happy with it. I love the bug mode. The robot mode looks really good. Yeah, I do have some problems with it. The weapon and the way the torso transforms is just eh. But otherwise, he looks really good. And I love the paint job. It could use a little more black on the arms, but I'm fine with it overall. The shaping of the head is really well done, and I've said this before, but if they repainted a bunch of times, I want all those repaints because I am very happy with how this turned out, and I'm very happy to own the Waspinator. One of these figures I've wanted for pretty much 10 years, I think it is. And now it's finally in my collection, and thank you to TransAaron38 for sending this. It is the Air Viacon and Breakdown 2-pack, mostly for the Breakdown, because I've had an Air Viacon before. This isn't really anything too new for me, although the weapon is gray this time, so woo. But it's mostly for that Breakdown, because I love Transformers Prime. If you haven't noticed, one of my shelves is dedicated to the Transformers Prime series, and yeah, he was missing out. Finally got him, and I have no complaints other than a couple of loose joints, but otherwise, very satisfied to have him, especially considering that I got the first edition bulkhead, and it looks so nice between them. So that was the first of the top 10. This is number 9. This is the Beast Wars style Kingdom Megatron. And I gotta say, it's kind of weird, because if the transformation is fiddly, or I feel like I'm going to snap something, I don't normally transform it, but I keep going back to the transformation regardless, because the Beast mode looks wonderful, and the Robot mode is so nice. I mean, just look at him. It's got the right color scheme, it's got the right shape for the head. I love the T-Rex head. Even though I'm not a big fan of the more realistic T-Rex design, I much prefer the animation model from the original Beast Wars. I gotta say that the details does look nice, and man, I'm just so happy to have this version of Megatron in my collection. Not only did I not expect myself to get this, but I didn't expect it to go on the list because I thought that the price was just too blown up for it. And yet, now that I have them in my hands, I feel like the price is well worth it. It is the Kingdom Rodimus Prime. Now, you're probably looking at this thinking, oh, that's weird for a Commander class figure, but I gotta say, he feels hefty enough for it, especially considering that he comes with the trailer. Now, I know that the trailer just seems like a little much, but I do think that it is the right size for a Rodimus Prime figure. I would kind of prefer one that just transformed into this with the trailer, you know, all complete, but I gotta say that for what they're referencing, especially with the original toy, I do understand what they're doing, and I do think that Rodimus himself does look fantastic. I do have a couple of complaints with him, mostly the leg transformation. I can't really get the wheels to plug in without feeling a little too scared about what I'm doing, and then also the backpack doesn't really lock in too well, but otherwise, I mean, he looks fantastic, he feels nice and hefty. Yeah, he definitely does not feel like a Voyager, I could tell you that. I'll just say this, if the Scourge in the Sweep was considered cheating, then this is definitely considered cheating. It is the Bumblebee movie, Starscream, and Thrust. Now, I gotta explain that this is my list, so it's gonna be personal bias. I know some people will probably prefer the Rodimus over this, but again, my list. And I just really like transforming these guys. The alt mode is definitely weird, but I kind of like how weird it is. And then the robot modes, I think, are a nice defining version of the Seekers in a live-action movie universe with a Cybertronian alt mode. I just think that the designs are very unique, but very recognizable to that. And the reason why I decided to put on both and not just one or the other is because I feel like these two are way too similar. There's things I like more on Starscream than Thrust, but then there's things I like more on Thrust than Starscream. So I decided, you know what, it's too much of a draw, let's just put them all at once. This next one is definitely going to turn some heads, but it's my list, so why not? It is the Transformers Generation Studio Series 86. This is Hot Rod. Oh, but he feels like a deluxe in the Voyager packaging, and I will say I kind of agree with that, but does that necessarily make him bad? I think what helps is that I technically didn't pay for it. It was Input who decided to send me the figure, so I really do appreciate that because it was really tricky for me to find him, even though now there's a re-release version of it, but still, regardless, I really wanted him and he sent it, so, you know, I definitely appreciate that. But I gotta say that I think that the alt mode definitely has its problems, but I like most of the shaping of it. The robot mode just looks fantastic. He's got a lot of gimmicks and accessories to him, and I feel like he's one of the more defining versions of the Hot Rod. I feel like people wouldn't be as upset with him if he was in a deluxe box, but then I think back and I think does that make the toy necessarily bad or just the price point bad? And I don't think the toy is bad. I really don't. I like the shaping, I like the coloring, I like the sunglasses. So yeah, Hot Rod. We're down to the top 5 of this list, and I gotta say that I'm very happy he made it into it. Because 1, I'm glad that they made it, and 2, I'm glad that I was able to buy it. It is the Transformers Generations Kingdom. This is Dinobot. Oh, he just looks so nice. Yeah, the beast mode has its problems, for sure. Yeah, the transformation has some tricks that I don't like, but that robot mode, that head sculpt, the fact that it's Dinobot, the weapons themselves, the shaping of the robot. Oh my god, I am so happy about it. I'm so happy that I was able to find it. The ears, the teeth, the snarling look, the blue face. It's just everything that I wanted in a Dinobot. I got so worried that he was going to turn out bad, and for me at least, he's not. I had to. I flat out had to. Studio Series 86 Wreck-Gar. I had to. I just had to. I mean, the articulation is so good. The bike mode is weird, but considering the context, yeah, I mean, it's right. And then the robot mode, he just looks so good. He feels chunky too. Like, he feels like a tall Voyager, but he really isn't. He's actually about average size. And the coloring is nice. The weapons are pretty good. I will say that I completely forgot that he probably should come with a gun, but considering everything else that's going on with him, yeah, I'm not gonna complain. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the top 3 point. And I gotta say, it's really weird because with this year's list, for other people, I've seen so many for the worst and so many for the best, and no two are the same. In fact, I've seen toys switch. I've seen this figure in some people's worst and best lists simultaneously, but for me it's on the best because I've wanted this character for the longest time, especially in this form, and it's my list. I do what I want. It is the Hasbro PulseCon Ravage. This is the Beast Wars style. Yeah, it does come with the G1 version, and he's got no stickers, which is pretty cool. I didn't even notice that. But this version of Ravage I really do like. I wish the legs were better, especially the feet, but otherwise, I'm really into it. The head sculpt looks right, the chest looks right. I think the cat mode is weird, but I get what they're doing. The guns look pretty cool. He just puts a big smile on my face. Essentially, that's the main reason why. It pretty much boils down to that. I'm not a fan of the price tag, but I did get it for a fair price. Yeah, I have no problem with it. So number 2, I thought, okay, maybe this will make number 15, maybe number 10 at the very least. Because usually when I get something for the holidays, I don't have much experience with the toy, but it must be doing something right because it made it to number 2. This is the Transformers Generations Earthrise Skylynx. Now, I know it came out technically a couple of years ago, but because I got it in the holidays from last year, it's going to be included with the list, and I am so impressed with it. It feels big, like it looks gigantic, even for a Commander class toy. I like the articulation, although I feel like the neck could use a little bit more, and the wings have a couple of loose joints. I can still manage with it. I actually really do like the base mode because it feels like it doesn't really ruin anything for any of the other modes. And yeah, I'm just so into it. Yeah, it's got its problems, but it is such a fun, enjoyable toy, and I miss when I enjoyed toys this much. He's just fun. It's weird, you know, it's a dragon chicken thing, but he's a lot of fun. The reason why this is number 1 on my list for the year is because I think I was not anticipating this figure as much as I should have been, because it's not like this figure was bad, it's just there were more figures I was really excited for, and this one just kind of set me back a little bit, but I decided to jump on it because I heard a lot of good things about it, and even though it was expensive, especially here in Canada, I paid the full price, and I was like, okay, I hope that I could really enjoy this thing. And throughout most of the year, I have said that this is probably going to be my #1 figure. I've talked about it constantly, especially when I first got it. I was like non-stop talking about it. I did a review of this and I said that so far, as of writing that review, this was my #1 pick for the year. And even with my holiday haul with the Earthrise Skylinks, that has not changed. And I think that is the main reason why this is #1. It is the Studio Series 86 Grimlock. I love the transformation on this because it's somewhat simple, but yet it doesn't feel simple. Like, it feels like it's easy enough to go through, which I enjoy because, you know, we don't need a super complex transformation with tiny little hinges. We could have something like this to where, okay, it doesn't feel like it's going to be a struggle, is what I was trying to say. I love the robot mode, although I do have some little quirks with it, especially with the wings and the fact that it didn't come with the sword. And thanks to JRC Design, now I got him with the sword, so there's no problem with that. And the beast mode is just, I mean, it nails it. It is so perfect. I wasn't, you know, upset about the Voyager class Power of the Primes toy, but after getting this, yeah, that's not a good size because this is the perfect size for me for a leader class Grimlock. And he's a good sized leader class toy too, especially nowadays. The wheelie is not good, but I'm not going to let that little tiny thing ruin this entire Grimlock figure. I think the colors are right, especially the blue, green, and red in the legs. I think the shaping is good. And I think the main reason why, the #1 reason why this is #1 on my list, not just due to the transformation, is because I think this is everything I want out of a figure. Something that feels sturdy, something that feels like it's not going to break, and something that's just fun to pose and do whatever with, and just hefty too. Yeah, this is my #1 pick of 2021. So with that out of the way, that is the entire list. I have to clean up everything now, and there's a lot of things, so yeah, I should probably get to that, but I thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and all those fun doodads. Tell me what is your top 21 or top whatever of 2021, and yeah, I will see you guys next time. When I got the Beast Wars reissue figures, I thought Megatron would make the list, not this one, but instead, no, this one secured the list. You saved me. Why? Monkey. It is the Beast Wars reissue Optimus Prime.